Welcome back to your nightmares, my children. This is Mr. Midnight speaking, and I welcome you all to my humble abode. Today, we'll be looking at two scary Valentine stories. You need to remember, Valentine's Day is a day of love and caring, and spending time with the people you love. But not always. Now let's begin. But before we do, make sure you like and subscribe, because if you do not, you will stay single for the rest of your life. And always remember, the darkness always follows. I will now leave you with my narrator, so enjoy.
Valentine's Day is in a few days. I'm afraid of what's to come. Valentine's Day is in a few days, and I'm afraid of what's to come. I need a place to tell my story, to warn others. No one else can do anything, but maybe I can help someone else out there. And well, I want to tell my story before it's maybe too late for me to. When I first started at university, I wasn't sure how I would feel about sharing a dorm room with a roommate. It turns out it was quite a positive experience for me. There are a lot of upsides. One I didn't expect was how it would bring me out of what my parents call my shell. I was able to make friends fast, which is usually difficult for me. Katie, my roommate, has been awesome. She's chill and we get along great. Aside from her need to have a boyfriend over constantly and not warn me until I get back to the dorm, I've enjoyed my time here. Katie and her messy, hastily written notes telling me when I can come back to the dorm were the only real issue. So when I saw one taped to the door a couple of weeks ago, I felt nothing but annoyance and pure exhaustion. It was late. I had a long day of classes and then a long study session at the library after. All I wanted to do was collapse into my bed. I mean, really, it's 2022. She could at least text me. Why does she take the time to write a note and tape it to the door instead of firing off a quick message? At least I know before I get all the way back home and can figure something else out for however long I need to. This note was different though. When I picked it up, it was heavier than usual. I opened it to find an actual letter, something neat and thought out that had a small bag wrapped in lovely hard-covered wrapping. I thought it must have been for Katie, an early Valentine from her boyfriend or something. It felt intimate, like I shouldn't be holding it, and I wanted to put it back down. And I went to, but that's when I noticed my name at the top. It was addressed to me. This letter was for me, and certainly not from Katie, like I was expecting. Haley, I've been a little too shy to tell you how I feel, so I'm writing to you instead. Maybe one day soon I can do this in person, but for now I just wanted you to know that I think you are amazing. I had never gotten anything like it before. Sure, I'd had a boyfriend in high school, but that was short-lived and clumsy. Never anything like this. This was a total shock. I've gone on a few dates since I started school, but nothing more than that. and those people wouldn't be too shy to tell me anything. I had no clue who this letter could have possibly come from. There was no clue in the writing or on the letter, nothing to tip me off on who my admirer was. It was simply signed with a heart. When I walked through the door, Katie was already waggling her eyebrows at me. She teased me with a practically purred greeting. "Hey, lover girl." Apparently, Katie had seen the letter when she got home from dinner, but she said it hadn't been there before that when she came back after lunch. She had looked at it and asked me what was in the bag. I hadn't even thought to open it, confusion and excitement still clouding my mind. I took the opportunity to open the bag and turn it over so whatever was inside would fall out into my hand. Cinnamon hearts. The spicy cinnamon smell wafted to my nose the second I opened the bag. Katie teased me a bit more that night, wondering if I'd been sent some jewellery next, wondering who my secret Valentine could be. We were both stumped. The next morning, Katie and I went to the local coffee shop like I do every morning. It had been my ritual since I started at school. I always grab a tea and a bagel. It's where we met Ted. He goes to the community college close by and works at the coffee shop. We've become friends with him of sorts. He even came over to help set up and move some stuff that didn't get shipped to me from my parents in time for the start of school. So we had to try to do it ourselves. He volunteered to help and we see him every day. This day though, I was on the lookout, my mind wrapped in the possibility of who could have sent me that letter and candy. I went to order and Ted told me my usual was already coming up. When I tried to pay him, he said it was on him. He gave me a shy smile. I asked if he was sure and he said absolutely that it was on him. On the way out, I asked Katie if she thought the letter could be from Ted. She asked how I could even doubt it after the exchange we had just had. I suppose she was right, and Ted was cute. I wasn't sure I wanted to come out and ask anyone about it though. The person who sent the letter was clearly shy. I didn't want to guess and get it wrong, make anything uncomfortable with anyone. Aside from telling Wendy, the girl I sit beside and talk to in my film class, I just ignored the letter. I figured if the person wanted to be known, they would make themselves known. I had almost given up hope when I found another letter left at the cubicle I always study at in the library. This one caught me off guard. Whoever put it there knows I study in that very spot almost every day. Was it there all day and they just hoped I'd show up and that someone else wouldn't get it? That doesn't seem quite right. I felt uneasy then. I wanted to know who was sending these letters. This one read, "Haley, will you be my Valentine?" Signed with another heart. Another bag taped to the bottom filled with more cinnamon hearts. I showed the letter to Katie. She just said it was sweet. She told me to just confront Ted the next day when I was going to see him. I told her I wasn't sure, that it didn't feel quite right to just ask someone. She brushed me off. The next day, when I didn't ask Ted, Katie jumped between us and asked herself, "Hey Ted, have you been the one sending the gorgeous Haley here love letters, and if so, would you like to go out with her?" I was mortified by Katie. "Love letters?" Ted questioned her, looking between Katie and I. "Yeah, asking to be her Valentine and stuff. You want to be Haley's Valentine? Katie wouldn't give it up. Ted looked at me and nodded, an empathetic yes coming from him. I was shocked. I told Ted I'd text him later. I wanted to get out of there, out of such a public area. It all felt wrong, but I was excited at the same time. Ted ended up texting me first that day. He asked if I'd like to go out that night. I agreed. I figured why not? He was taking the time to make his feelings known, and he's nice and cute. I took the time to run to the store before I got ready, grabbing some cinnamon hearts to give him. It felt like a fitting present for the occasion. The date went well. I had fun. We were happy and planned to see each other again. Ted was sweet, and he confessed that he's liked me for a while, but didn't know how to tell me. When I gave him the cinnamon hearts, he thanked me, but said he hates them. It seemed odd, but I didn't think much of it. After that, I started finding little hot bags filled with cinnamon hearts in random places. One time I even found one on my pillow. I was impressed with the effort Ted was going through. We did go out a few more times. We were really hitting it off. Everyone was happy to see me hanging out with a guy, and I was having fun too. One night we even ran into Wendy and a bunch of my film class friends at a movie opening. We all sat together and talked about movies. Ted kept up, and while some of it was over his head, he still seemed like he was enjoying himself. So when I got another letter, I was surprised. Roses are red, violets are blue. Why don't you really see me when I'm talking to you? I found this one in my bag, the one I carry around with me at school. It was possible Ted tucked it in when I saw him the night before, but that doesn't make sense. Why would he do that? I've given him lots of attention, and this note has a whole different tone to it. I happened to find the letter while I was in film class. I opened it and read it thinking it was some cute love note from Ted. I must have looked concerned. I felt it too. It was an odd note, scary even. Wendy leaned over to ask me if I was alright, so I told her about the notes and Ted. She ordered this one. She was surprised to find out I was dating Ted. She agreed it was scary and maybe I shouldn't see him anymore. She seemed worried and a little angry for me, and that made me worried and angry. What was going on? I had to ask him what was up with it. I went straight to the coffee shop after my next class to confront him. I knew he was working. When I got there, he wasn't there. His boss said he left an hour before, that he wasn't feeling well. I texted him telling him I needed to talk to him and went home to wait. I didn't get a response. I figured at first he was probably sleeping because he wasn't feeling well. Maybe he just felt bad about the note and didn't know how to talk to me about it. I gave him the night. Tried to text a couple more times but nothing. That morning I went to the coffee shop as usual, expecting to find him, but he wasn't there. The owner was again. I asked him where Ted was and he said he didn't know, that he hadn't shown up today and that he was probably still sick. Why wouldn't anyone contact me? I felt so bad though at the same time. What could be so wrong with him all of a sudden? I didn't want to be narcissistic, but the timing was weird. It didn't feel right to me. Why right after he sent that note? He was fine the night before and he had worked all day. It doesn't make sense why he wouldn't talk to me. I sent him another text telling him I wasn't mad about the note, but that I'd like to talk to him. I waited some more. Still no response. I was worried now. This wasn't like Ted. Usually he'd respond pretty quick. His phone always close by, like most people our age. I waited and awoke the next morning to a single cinnamon heart on my pillow. I know I didn't put it there, and Katie hadn't come home that night. Could it have been Ted? But that would mean he was in my room. I tried and called him again. Went to the coffee shop. He still wasn't there. No one else seemed concerned. I went to his place and buzzed up. Again, no one answered. I waited until someone left his building so I could go myself. The place was quiet, eerily quiet, with no sounds coming from anywhere. I banged on his door. Still no answer. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I called the police and I told them I was afraid that something happened to Ted. When they arrived at the building, I told them about the notes, how we started dating. I showed them to them, even that last one that was left for me. I told them about how I was afraid because Ted hadn't been to work and no one has been able to get a hold of him. That he won't answer his phone, text or door. The police didn't seem too interested. They said he was probably avoiding me because of the notes, but that they would check it out and make sure he was alright. They tried to knock themselves. They tried to call him. Nothing. They got in touch with his boss and to confirm he hadn't called into work, and then contacted his parents to confirm they hadn't spoken to him. With that, they were able to get the building manager to let them in to check his place. The officer told me to stay back. I couldn't though. Once he walked in, I followed. I needed to know what was going on. Everything in me told me something wasn't right here. Aside from the officer's footsteps, the place was silent. So very quiet. When the officer gasped from the bedroom, it made every hair on my body prickle and stand at attention. I ran over. The officer yelled for me to stay back. I didn't listen. I couldn't listen. There was Ted, very clearly not okay, hanging in his room. I went to the station to be questioned after that. They showed me the note that was left on his bed. I'm sorry, with a single cinnamon heart. The picture of that letter of that heart, it broke me. They ruled it a suicide. I couldn't understand it. Why would he do that? I know now it wasn't one though. I got another letter today. I went to class hoping to keep my mind off of everything. I can't afford to fall behind. I sat alone. Wendy wasn't there. It was a bit of a relief because I didn't feel like talking to anyone. At the end of class, another friend we hang out with sometimes walked up to me and told me Wendy had left something for them to give to me. That she was sorry she couldn't be here to give it to me herself. They told me she had a suddenly drop out of school. Some sort of family emergency. No one will get in the way of us, Valentine. When I brought the note to the police, they looked into Wendy, but all they could say was that no one named Wendy went to my school and hadn't in a few years. That whoever I sat beside in class must not have been using her real name. That or she wasn't actually enrolled. They haven't been able to track her down. New notification from Instant Valentine. My teachers used to force us to exchange love notes. We were given lists of everyone in the class and made to spend money on themed boxes of cards with uncomfortably personal sayings. Be mine, someone like you. You're so pretty. I love you so much. The idea was to be anonymous in our delivery. But when 25 kids are all stumbling over each other in a room meant to handle 15, it's not exactly a discreet process. Some kids went home with lollipops expertly fashioned to the cards. A few enthusiastic parents made goodie bags with Pez dispensers and colored paper, sacrifices to the elite of our class. One kid, always one kid, never got anything. Despite the lists and the rules against discrimination and the fact that she was always nice to everyone, there was always one desk left horribly, obviously bare. I always told myself I didn't mind. But that was elementary school, when the ultimate display of affection was pushing each other on the swings. And at some point down the line, people discovered how to order bouquets of roses and perfected the art of making out in full view of everyone except the teachers. I guess cars are sort of obsolete, but people get other things. Mostly fluffy, button-eyed things with bows like nooses around their necks. The fact that those things never used to make it to me is my own fault. I know that. I know I should be more outgoing, or prettier, or just better. But it's more comforting to blame everyone else instead. That's the kind of mood I was in. Early last week, when I was sitting on my polka dot bed, scrolling through frilly websites complete with gifs of dogs chewing heart-shaped treats. Not because I was bitter or anything, just that Valentine's Day was coming up, and I had to do a love letter for creative writing. Fishing for inspiration even if resentment was the only fish biting. I clicked a random link and a brightly colored interface popped up. It was a flat red with a few sparse graphics, a title and a button beaming, "Sign up today." A character was paused on the bottom of the screen, looking up at the button. It was impossible to tell if it was a baby or a child. Its head was swollen out and up, with a minuscule torso and 4 fat limbs. Tufts of blonde hair swooped over huge blue eyes, and everything about it, from its blue clothes to its red skin, was grossly oversaturated. The title was Instant Valentine. Curious, I hovered over the sign up button, not really sure what I was expecting. Part of me thought it was going to be a joke. That text would flash, calling me a loser and somehow add me to a public spreadsheet of how many others had clicked the link. I clicked it anyway, but instead a phone popped up, asking for an email and name. Bad as this is going to sound, I never really cared about giving away my email to sites like this. I did it often enough at malls to get Wi-Fi, and with those sketchy grade saver websites, I figured as long as I never put my real name, I wasn't really giving anything up. Now I know better. I typed in my email and an alias I spent 30 seconds choosing, Gwen. It's the name I used to wish I had, from when Ben 10 was my favorite show in the world. A minute later, I got a notification and checked my email, again expecting an advert or punchline. I've transcribed it here. To Gwen, you light my life. Be mine. There was no sender. The email was just the site name, and string of numbers. I opened the attachment and found a drawing of a little girl holding a candle. It looked like the first mascot, too red and lumpy, like those vintage cherub kids. Some kind of gushy mailing list. Cool. I closed the email and went on to bed a while later, secretly excited by the digital admirer. This was last week. The next morning, I checked my email again, and there was another note from Instant Valentine. Gwen, you look so sweet enough to eat. Be my Valentine. Attached was another old-timey drawing of a girl sitting in a comically large cauldron, an open fire beneath. I know it's dumb, but something about the notes was reassuring. There was something to look forward to, for one, but there were also windows into another world, Gwen's world. The notes kept coming. All of them came with drawings, increasingly saturated. A pirate shoving a gooey hook through a girl's heart. Let's hook up, girl. Be mine. A belly boot type with a rubber nose, horse legs, and a melting pile around her. Bright flames eating away her skin. You're hot stuff, Valentine. Be mine. A little devil holding a pitchfork with hearts at the tips. All his expression was twisted with pain, and the horns and tail looked surgically attached. I love you from hell and back. Be mine. At first the art was charming in a weird way. Stuff you'd find in a garage sale or an attic. But as the weeks progressed, they only got more graphic. I tried to Google the pictures by description, hoping to find the artist, and came up empty. I Googled Instant Valentine. Nothing relevant. I couldn't even find the original site anymore. And I didn't remember the random series of clicks that got me there in the first place. But I wasn't too worried, more curious than anything. I didn't even realize how much I enjoyed the daily acknowledgement until some girls from class asked if I even had a boyfriend yet. As I walked away from them, I wondered why I'd said yes. The days passed. I started finding out Gwen's world a bit. I imagined her as a perfect version of me, taller, smoother skin, a smile like Gatsby, and a voice like Daisy. Gwen was confident, and everyone wanted to be her Valentine. I even curated a persona for the note giver. I called him Josh, and he grew inside my head as a shy, artsy kid who had been in love with Gwen since they were kids. Love you, dear. Be mine. Gwen's friends recalled from the blooded carcass of a girl, wearing a sexy deer costume, painted across the page where she knew it was special. I gained another reason to hate Valentine's Day. I knew the notes would probably stop then, but sometime in the last few days, the notes started to change. They stopped being addressed to Gwen and started being addressed to me. I spent an hour trying to find out how it knew my name. My lame conclusion was that it could read other emails in my inbox, although I'm still not sure. The thought chilled me, but there wasn't a way to cancel the subscription. I couldn't even reply to the email, so I did nothing, waiting for the issue to resolve itself. The cheesy pickup lines thinned out, replacing them with constant emails, several per day, with just 2 words. Be mine? Be mine! Be mine! The drawings were still there, but they were wrong somehow, like the ink was running. Smudged and blackened faces screamed at me from my computer screen. All these different girls. One was wearing a bikini or underwear, and her head was submerged in a bathtub. Another chubbier girl had on a pink costume and was roasting over a spit with an apple between her lips. Those things had been okay in Gwen's world, but now they were real, threatening. I need you to know that I wanted to show someone, friends or parents even. I need you to know that I tried, but I couldn't bring myself to. The embarrassment would have crushed me. And and I think maybe there was still a tiny part, a sick and shriveled thing just under my skin, living in my fingertips and between my hips that wanted to keep it a secret. Wanted to have something all my own. And maybe that part of me was glad to see my name grace the screen, because just as quickly as I'd created Gwen, I started to resent her. I need you to know this because I deserve it. There's always a new girl in the drawings. They're getting worse. I can hear their screams. Today is Valentine's Day, and I'm sitting alone in the cafeteria, surrounded by red things, fluffy, lacy things. Everyone has a rose. The office is giving them away so no one will feel left out. I didn't pick one up. I had to write this down. I just checked my email again. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's tie the knot. The picture is in that same ridiculous style, but the ink looks fresh and the lines are sharp. The girl has ugly brown hair pulled into pigtails, and she's sitting on a polka dot bedspread. Heavy ropes crisscross her body. There's tape over her mouth, but she doesn't look afraid. My mum just called me, saying I need to come home. She said she was picking me up. I can see her car through the windows. The person inside is not my mother. An office aide is walking around the cafeteria with a green slip looking for me. To send me away, only a matter of time now. The bed in the drawing looks like my bed. The girl in the drawing is wearing my clothes. I wish I was afraid. The office aide is making eye contact, walking towards me. The car outside is honking. A girl is crying over spilling her chocolates. There are roses in the garage bin. Mascara is running, but I'm not. I should be afraid. Happy Valentine's Day. And now I will be mentioning the authors and thanking them, and also reviewing the stories. Now, the first story was by Exo Boo, and she actually has a YouTube channel which I will try to link if YouTube lets me down below. And the title was Valentine's Day in a Few Days. I'm afraid of what's to come. Now, this was very creepy and I enjoyed reading it. I actually thought it was Ted, but I feel like Ted lied because he didn't want someone to take his girl Haley. I think that's what this was. But one of my favorite parts in this story was roses are red, violets are blue. Why don't you really see me when I'm talking to you? Now that part was my favorite part in the story, and just because of that, this gets 100 out of 10. Trust me, I just love that part. I love rhymes. I love poetry. Now the second one was by Catch Wolfsy, and the title was New Notification from Instant Valentine. Now this, I really enjoyed reading this. It was really good. I feel like I say the same thing over and over again, but this was actually amazing to read. But I do not understand why she isn't scared, because I feel like a killer's after her and a killer's gonna kill her, to be honest. And she's not afraid. Maybe it's because she's depressed and sad, but she should be a little scared, even though she's saying I should be afraid, but she isn't. She needs to be afraid. She actually needs to be scared, because who knows who this person is. And that is why I rate this an 11 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but I kind of want to know what happens next. So OP needs to update, please. Could you update it, please, so I know what happened? And I guess that's it for today. I'm going to leave Mr. Midnight to the outro. So take care and peace.
Well, my children, I thank you all for listening. I hope these two scary stories about Valentine's Day made you fear dating and finding someone or having admirers or whatever, because I love the taste of your fear and your sorrow. So, until next time, I'll see you very soon. Always remember, love the darkness as it always follows.